Hi, welcome to Top Shelf Takes, the only show on the internet that is made up of complete fact and no opinion whatsoever. Today we're going to be talking about the best sequels of all time. Hey guys, I'm super excited to get started today to talk about the best sequels of all time. Who says the sequel can't be better than the original? I want to prove that theory wrong. I've felt for years that it is completely wrong, and so we're going to prove that today with the non-debatable top 6 list of best sequels of all time. Now, before we get started, I want to introduce everyone. My name is Tim.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Jeremy. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Hi, I'm Grace.
So, yeah, you guys know the rules. We're going to have a 30-second intro. I'm going to hear all your opening arguments. Then I'm going to give you a 3-minute debate, and then I'm going to make a decision based off that discussion. So, without further ado, I'm going to open it up to our number 6 round, and I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Dylan Frazier.
I'll kick off the list. My number 6 pick, rather hard. Had some really hard, tough cuts here when I was going through, but my number 6 pick is going to be Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It was one of the first films to go in the phase 2 of the Marvel era, and I think it takes a really significant turn from what the Avengers had previously put out, from Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor: The Dark World.
Time?
Yeah, all right. My number 6 spot is going to be Finding Dory, the sequel to Finding Nemo. I chose Finding Dory because I think it is a unique perspective when taking the sidekick character and giving them an entire sequel that completely justifies their character. And also, they found a way to successfully give a fish a receding hairline.
All right, so kind of almost cheating right out of the gate, but for my number 6, I went with all the Harry Potter sequels. I tried to narrow it down, but when I was thinking about it, we're the Harry Potter generation. Growing up, we think of it as one big story, and I think that each one, as a sequel, adds more to it, and the characters kind of grew up with us. That's why I went with all of them. But if I were to choose the best one, probably Prisoner of Azkaban. But they're all great, and they're all one big story. Harry Potter sequels.
Perfect. That's 30 seconds. All right, gang. 3-minute debate. Tear each other apart.
I would argue that the only genuine sequel is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, because you had the first one, and then you have the second one, and then the third one is a threequel. So I'm just here to invalidate your argument that they're all sequels. Yeah.
Okay, so going by that though, let's just look at just Chamber of Secrets then. Let's look at just how much Chamber of Secrets grew from Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone. That film alone shows how much it would mature with each entry. Like Sorcerer's Stone, you see them going to Hogwarts, the magic, the innocence, the happiness, and all that. And in a way, with Chamber of Secrets, there's a girl being possessed and hung up on the wall, a giant snake in a chamber, and stabbing a diary, and the diary leaks like inky blood. Like just that is a lot of maturity from the last one, and that would continue on for the rest of them. And just want to also add, I forgot to mention, this is my initial spiel, the music, the John Williams music, some of his best, most underrated, and it sticks through with each of the sequels, and it keeps bringing you back to those moments. And I like Harry Potter a lot.
Ooh. I mean, I would like to raise too, just like in terms of like a darker turn, I would say Winter Soldier kind of does the same thing, where you've got very different films, I would say, in like Captain America, Iron Man, Avengers. Like they're just the introductory films. They're building up to what eventually, as we've seen now, is the later Marvel universe. But I think Winter Soldier is the first really big turn for them, in terms of like, you've got Thor: The Dark World and Thor, which are like fun, uplifting movies. You've got all the other introductory films. You've got Avengers, the original Avengers, a lot of CGI, a lot of start build up. And then you go take Winter Soldier and they cut out a bunch of the CGI. They want to do the minimum. They focused really hard on like really intense stunt work and just making the film look as beautiful as it looks now. And also adding in the really heavy, deep layers of not only does the shield turn, and that kind of sets everything for the rest of the film. Spoiler alert: the shield is actually evil.
What?
I know it's
Yeah.
crazy to think about, but again, I think
New to Marvel. Anyway, I would like
30 seconds on the clock. I need to hear about Finding Dory.
Finding Dory. Oh my God. I watched this film. First of all, I wept openly in the theater. Sigourney Weaver is in this movie. They make an incredible genius Sigourney Weaver. They seamlessly put her in the plot. And the scene where Dory finds her parents and they're picking up rocks that they have like left for her to find over all the years.
That did hit me too.
Heartbreaking. And you did not get a moment like that in Finding Nemo 1, I will argue.
That's it. Time. All right, guys. So with all due respect to Finding Dory, this was pretty closely between Harry Potter and Captain America. And the reason I'm giving it to the winner of this round is because I didn't hear a single thing against. So I'm going to give it to Captain America, the Winter Soldier, for round 6.
I'm just personally offended like where you put it on the list, but we can talk about that later.
Okay, so my number 5, and I'm gonna say I probably, if I wanted to, could have filled this whole list with just horror movie sequels, but I narrowed it down to the one that I find myself recommending to people the most often, and that's The Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors.
Yes.
I think a lot of people who aren't into horror movies think they're like bleak and depressing and obviously scary, but they can also be a lot of fun. And when I think of a horror movie that's just fun, this is my go-to.
All right, so in the same vein, exactly the same vein, I went horror and I said Evil Dead 2.
I almost went with that.
Oh, okay, so I said Evil Dead 2 for 2 main reasons. One, it is the invention of the redo, in my opinion. No one decided to completely remake a horror movie. 2, they remade it in a fun, campy way. It's also directed by Sam Raimi. In my opinion, it mirrors Spider-Man 2, but that's a whole other theory. Yeah.
To continue with the vein of my own list, I am going Endgame at number 5. I swear this is the last Marvel movie I accidentally have in the back-to-back. Endgame. And I will avoid spoilers because a certain person hasn't seen the movie yet. We'll get there. Proud of you. But
Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 1 is the invention of the cabin in the woods genre, but I argue without Evil Dead 2, we would not have iconic movies like Cabin in the Woods, because that movie is ridiculous. There is a scene where Ash, the character, walks into a room and all of the furniture starts laughing at him. Like there's a deer's head on the wall and it's like, ha ha ha! Like things like Patchy the Pirate, like ha ha ha! And it's just, it's not too much. That's my thing. I think Dream Warriors is too much, whereas this is the perfect middle because you have the first Evil Dead, which is like iconic, groundbreaking at the time horror. The second one, which is, whoa, what do they do there? They just completely redid the movie and made it ridiculous. And then the third one is Army of Darkness, which is just out there. And I put Army of Darkness on the same level as Dream Warriors in terms of ridiculousness.
Well,
so I think Evil Dead 2 is the perfect middle ground sequel, and it also mirrors, I say the Evil Dead trilogy mirrors the Spider-Man trilogy perfectly.
well, I don't want to argue too much against Evil Dead 2 because I'm telling you it was really like neck and neck. Like if I was feeling slightly different on the day, I would have chose that instead of Dream Warriors. But I'm going to push back a little bit against your Dream Warriors being too much because I think that's what makes it so fun. And I think that there's a lot of, it's imaginative. Like the stuff in Evil Dead 2, it's great, it's fun, practical effects, all cool, but it's in that cabin. And it's things going weird in the cabin, lots of blood. But Dream Warriors, because of the dream sequences, you get to see some just really cool stuff, from Freddy turning someone into a human puppet using his muscles as the strings to iconic TV thing where he slams her face to TV. And also the characters are just, Evil Dead has like Ash, the one memorable character.
No, Evil Dead has the chainsaw arm. Evil Dead.
You know what? And it has all of the
chainsaw arms
and the payoff after Infinity War. You sit down and watch Infinity War, and no spoilers for Infinity War as well. But after sitting through that film, you get the absolute incredible payoff, not only just from Infinity War, but the entire series that you've been building up to. And I think that they just do an absolutely amazing job. It's like tying it all
right
together.
there, that's where I'd say it's almost not really. It's not. It is technically a sequel, but it's almost its own thing. Like I liked Endgame, I like Infinity War better, but it's a cinematic universe, and it's not like Winter Soldier is. It I can make the argument, but Endgame, it's like not like a sequel to another movie. It's just a culmination.
You know what else
Yeah.
is a cinematic universe? Evil Dead. And that's true because they have the TV show after the Evil Dead, which would not exist if it were not for Cabin in the Woods.
Time.
Cabin in the Woods.
So I'm gonna say, Mr. Jeremy, that you say that Endgame is maybe not a sequel, but wasn't your number 6 pick all of the Harry Potter movies?
I know I'm gonna get fired.
I wasn't gonna mention.
That being said, Evil Dead 2 takes this round.
I'm cool with that.
No. Oh, shoot. I meant Dream Warriors. I'm so sorry. I misspoke. I got your hopes so high up. I meant Dream Warriors. It's a La La Land. It's a La La Land Moonlight scenario, everyone. It is Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Did we learn about La La Land Moonlight scenario? It's not okay.
I definitely just Steve Harvey'd Grace.
All right. Little sad fun fact that's gonna make this hard to argue. I haven't seen this movie that I've picked, but I have figured I needs to be included on this list. When I was doing research just to find these picks, it was really up there, and I've seen the original, and the original's fantastic. It's Godfather 2, and I couldn't make a sequel list without including the second Godfather, despite the fact that I haven't seen it, but I have come valiantly prepared to argue for
Time.
All right, my pick is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. The perfect movie musical sequel. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that movie. It builds on the Mamma Mia cinematic universe, which we all want. And the performances in that movie are stunning. They are based off of one movie from 10 years previously. And every single actor in the second movie builds a character from just those performances, and it's seamless. And share.
Time. All right, we got Mamma Mia too. And Jeremy, whenever you're ready. Sir.
My number 4, I'm going with the only animated movie to ever be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, and that is Toy Story 3. Like I said with Harry Potter, it really plays on the fact that we grew up with these characters and they mature with us over time. And I think it's one of Pixar's best because it just hits all the emotional beats like perfectly. And again, it's one of Pixar's best. It's just one of the greatest animated films of all time.
I mean, if you want to talk about movies to win awards, Godfather 2 was actually the first sequel to win an Oscar. It's the first sequel to do it. And not only did they get one, they had 6 of them. They had 6 awards. They had 20 nominations. They had an absolutely stacked cast across the board. I mean, come on. Al Pacino, Robert Duvall, Diane Keaton, Robert De Niro. And they
get on a boat.
They had 3 supporting characters on their
I don't think so.
I haven't actually seen either of my competitors this time, so I really don't have much to argue against them. But I will say that a sequel winning Best Picture versus an animated film being nominated Best Picture, I think the latter is more significant because it's a type of art that doesn't get enough recognition, and I think that was a good step forward for people acknowledging like mainstream popular animated movies as significant and just as worthwhile. Like Godfather 2, yeah, it's a sequel, but that's the kind of movie that always gets nominated for awards. But again, I haven't seen it, so I can't argue much more than that.
Well, that's the thing.
You haven't seen it either. So what am I saying?
Godfather 2 is a sequel. Toy Story 3 is a sequel. Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is art. And the fan base, this movie was made like 10 years prior, and there was such a need and a demand and such a morale around ABBA with this generation that they did it. They said, here we go again. We're going to do the impossible. We are going to pull out ABBA songs that no one has ever heard and make them absolute bangers. We're going to get Lily James to do this. We're going to get Amanda Seyfried back. We're going to get Meryl for a few minutes. And in those few minutes, Meryl made me bawl. There was snot. As ask anyone. You wait till the end of that movie, and it's just snot everywhere. They got Cher. Cher didn't even need to be there. Her character was technically dead and written off. But you know what? That adds to the lore of the Mamma Mia cinematic.
Wouldn't that like create like some kind of?
I read today that it is a trilogy. That
Wait,
there
can
might
we
be
get
enough.
explained?
Well, I just want to say, if I'm going to watch a fun movie with like dancing and quirky songs and that type of entertainment, I'd rather see it on stage.
It's not Toy Story 3. It's not Toy Story 3, you know? You're not going to watch Toy Story 3. There's none of that in there.
So for most of this fight, it was strictly between Mamma Mia and Toy Story, but then Dylan had a weirdly great opening argument for Godfather
I am
2.
proud of my opening argument
But
for never seeing
I
the film.
do not feel right about not discounting the fact that you haven't seen the movie. Points for pure passion and artistic just explanation of the setting the scene. It's Mamma Mia 2.
Are you sure this time?
Here we go again.
Alrighty, so I'm going with another animated film, and this is a sequel to one of the other greatest animated films of all time. It's a fantasy film. It's by DreamWorks, and it's not the one you're thinking. It's How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Oh.
Never seen it.
I know. How to Train Your Dragon 2, the first and the second, I consider some of the greatest animated films of all time. They're probably the best proof that DreamWorks is just as good, if not better, than Pixar. And
Time!
All right, my number 3 spot pick is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I truly have never seen a sequel that built upon the universe in such an interesting and dynamic way. I believe that the first one is like fun and campy, and the second one, they elevate on that. They know what they have. They know their characters. They have this passion, but it creates a great movie with great storytelling, some of the most beautiful imagery, illustration, visuals, that's the word I'm looking for, visuals I've ever seen in a Marvel movie.
Time!
All right. So when you make this video, Judge Editor Tim, just take the first 15 seconds of Jeremy's argument, insert it over here, but put Shrek 2, the movie we were all thinking, over. Shrek 2 is, and for those of you who may have watched the previous episodes, I may have come after Shrek 2 just a little bit. However, that was the best non-Disney animated films of all time, and I said Shrek 1. However, this is best sequels, and therefore Shrek 2 is a sequel. So, Shrek 2, number 3.
Time!
Yeah.
All right, the debate begins now.
I have Teenage Groot on my side. They took something and they went with it, and they made baby Teenage Groot.
I counter your Teenage Groot with Puss in Boots.
No.
I counter both with Toothless.
Not in the same league at all. I would argue the opening of Guardians 2 is enough. Just to you can the opening of that movie all throughout Mr. Blue Sky is nothing like it is amazing when put next to the opening of these two movies. So, you have like something maybe with the sequels, but this one, mind is blown. I don't even know. Third eye chakra wide open, ready for this crazy acid trip with Kurt Russell. Yeah.
Both Guardians of the Galaxy films are personally my absolute favorite Marvel films, but honestly, I don't think the second one improves on the first one that much. If anything, it's just more of the same. And if I were to rewatch one, I'd typically go with the first one. I think the jokes land a lot better in the first one. I think the introduction of the characters works. The soundtrack's a little better, in my opinion, in the first one. Mr. Blue Sky, great opening, but the other songs in it aren't as good as the first one.
That's a lie. That's a lie. You're wrong. That soundtrack is amazing.
It is not as good as the first one.
I'm the freaking hipster. That's all I listen to. Look at this. Look at this before I watch the movie. But
all right, let's hear about How to Train Dragon and Shrek.
Yes.
So How to Train Your Dragon 2, it elevated what was already like a beautiful, like nice, heartwarming family kid story from the first one into like an epic fantasy, like a real like fleshed out fantasy universe. Vikings, dragons, the characters are grown up now. Really interesting costume design, which seems weird to say for an animated movie, but like it's the kind of thing you want to cosplay, you know? And the animation is just exquisite. Like you can see the particles of the dirt moving, the waves, the water as the dragons fly over, just like how the wind affects the water rippling. I've seen videos on how they animated. It was like really revolutionary techniques. It's beautiful to look at, a beautiful story, and just it's epic fantasy at a level you don't usually see in animation.
I mean, if you want to talk about epic fantasy, how about a giant gingerbread man? One of the saddest, most heartbreaking deaths in any film, in any animated film history ever. And not only that, but you've got multiple characters. Every character in the original Shrek comes back into Shrek 2, is one of the most highest grossing animated films. They had the second highest 3-day weekend to start. And when you've got such a fantastic, amazing film as Shrek 1, Shrek 2 comes back, doubles down on it, is better than the original, exceeds people's expectations, and to top it all off, they have a knockoff America's Got Talent extra special at the end if you got the extended DVD version.
Time! Guys,
American
guys, you did not make this easy on me. This is a tough
This was a hard round, I can tell.
Yeah, really good arguments, really good movies. I do have a win, and it's not my personal favorite on this list. It's actually the only one on this list I haven't seen, but I need to give this to How to Train Your Dragon 2. The argument about the animation was really tough to beat, and you did hit your opponents.
My number 2 pick is the middle of a trilogy that not only is the perfect sequel to an amazing first movie, but it also perfect setup for a following third movie, and it's The Dark Knight.
Ooh.
It is, not only do you get the introduction of Harvey Dent, who comes back in the next movie, the Joker, Heath Ledger absolutely crushes the role of the Joker. He gives Batman, who we've seen through so many comics and animated series, and his first movie, you see him get an even increased
time.
Okay, so my number 2 pick is actually something we've talked about before, and it is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I would argue to be moved to number 2. I don't know what, but it is superior to number 1. Number 1 literally makes me want to gouge my eyes out. I cannot stand the first.
What?
Second one is this stunning, incredible action movie where they say no to the CGI and they say, we're going to make a hardcore, balls to the wall action movie. And they give such incredible, you have the Winter Soldier, and the
time.
All right, for my number 2 pick, I'm going super, super old school with this, way back to the year 1935 with Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh.
I'm gonna say it's pretty bold to make a sequel to a work of classical literature that has nothing to do with the original creator of the book and have it still be that good. There's so many things from this movie that have leaked into pop culture that you're probably aware of without having even seen it, and I think that's as good an argument as any.
I actually don't have an argument. I'm laying down my gloves. That is a brilliant pick. I know that's probably something frowned upon on Top Shelf Takes, but no, I absolutely, Jeremy. That's genius.
I'm ready, prepared to take off. All right, The Dark Knight. I would argue it is if it isn't the most iconic film out of an iconic trilogy, it has the most memorable, iconic moments from the entire trilogy. Not only do you have, again, the introduction of the Joker and how they go about that, they set the stakes exponentially high right out of the gate. You have Joker come in and literally rob all the other gangsters and mafia bosses in Gotham and then turn it around and just set the whole city on fire, both literally and figuratively. And not only that, but you've got what I think is kind of interesting. You've got the love triangle of Dent, Batman, and Rachel.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Rachel Dawes. I wrote.
I can remember their names.
But you've also got an interesting triangle going on between Joker, Dent, and Batman. As Dent is the hardcore Iron Fist attorney coming down, trying to crush all the crime. You've got Joker going against that, and you've got Batman sort of interestingly in the middle of that. And then you go through the whole thing, and they bring it all together at the end, just blending it all up. If you make Joker bleh. Joker gives Batman the decision of ultimately having to decide which one he wants to do, and the result obviously pushes right into the third film. I think it's beautifully done writing. They send out a bunch of branches at the beginning of the film, and they just bring it all together, but leave enough stuff open that they.
I love the passion. I want to hear about Bride of Frank.
Right. So yeah,
go.
I will say, so you talk about iconic stuff. the iconic stuff in Bride of Frankenstein is stuff you know without even realizing you know. The costume of the bride herself with the hair sticking up and the lightning bolt through, that's a classic Halloween costume. Most of the people wearing it probably haven't even seen the movie. That's how iconic it was. And fun fact, having seen the movie, she doesn't even show up until like the last 15 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes. And just in that amount of time, it's impactful enough, the cinematography, the costume design, and the acting to make that much of an impact. Elsa Lancaster as the bride, all she does is show up, look very stiff, and scream in someone's face. And it's so impactful because there was nothing like that before, that kind of outfit, that kind of look. And also the stuff about the regular Frankenstein monster, most of our pop culture understanding of that doesn't come from the book, doesn't come from even the original Frankenstein movie. It comes from The Bride of Frankenstein. The way he talks, the like stilted, like, oh, me over here kind of caveman talk. That wasn't
bad time to be judge, I'll tell you that. Ow. Okay. First of all, I want to compliment you on the pick, Jeremy. That is completely outside of the box thinking, and that's very smart. I have seen Bride of Frankenstein, and she's actually only in it for maybe the last minute. Like it's that quick. Like she.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but
no.
It was really quick at the end
when I saw it for the first time, so I'm just commenting on that. I obviously am between The Dark Knight and Bride of Frankenstein. Dylan, you came very prepared for The Dark Knight, and I say that as a huge compliment. Like that is a very, very, very strong argument. In fact, Bride of Frankenstein would have taken it any other way, but the argument was so well backed by research for The Dark Knight, and just the stuff with the not one but two triangles affecting the film, and just the complexity that takes over that movie. And that movie is a masterpiece, and I really do love it. I need to give this one to The Dark Knight. So for our number 2 pick, I'm going to go with The Dark Knight. Oh, but that I'm going to get some internet hate for that one. Bride of Frankenstein was a good pick, and
smart.
Before we log off, I'm going to give a chance here, and it needs to be a quick chance. If the 3 contestants can choose which thing to knock off this list, Bride of Frankenstein may replace it.
I'd say How to Train Your Dragon, but just because I've never seen How to Train Your Dragon 2, so that's like not a good reason.
I also haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon 2.
We can't.
I'm fine with replacing it with that too. That's fine.
Wait, Jeremy, it was your pick, so would you prefer to put Bride of Frankenstein over How to Train?
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
It works because he picked How to Train Your Dragon. So
yeah,
this is
you're not
losing the point.
You're not losing points. So all right. Bride of Frankenstein is number 3. Wow. Number 1, Jeremy, time begins when you start speaking.
All right. So my number 1, going the opposite route of my last one. This is the most recent thing on my list. And it's kind of an odd pick, but I think you'll understand when I get my argument. This is actually a sequel series to the Karate Kid trilogy. This is Cobra Kai.
Said the magic words, damn it!
So I have a lot to say about this. So I should probably wait for the argument phase, but I will say one of the best shows in recent years. It's
time.
I agree, Jeremy.
I would like to remind
save it for the debate.
I'd like to remind the judge that he's unbiased. So Jimmy, Timmy, Pout. No, okay. My number 1 pick is Shrek 2. I know we've talked about it before, but Shrek 2, because when you think of Shrek, you don't think of Shrek 1. You think of Shrek 2. You hear Accidentally in Love, like the opening playing in your head, and that soundtrack is cemented in the halls of cinema history. If I go to a party and Shrek 2 soundtrack isn't playing, I'm out. I don't want to know that. We're not friends. Shrek 2 is
time.
Okay.
And we'll never know what Shrek 2 is.
Yeah, I don't know what Shrek 2 is.
I'm going to talk about a movie that had expectations set so high and that they were still able to succeed expectations despite all the stuff they had to overcome. This movie had to overcome a set fire, multiple fines coming across the board, actors, actor injuries. The writer passed away and had to be rewritten and then done up again later on. Their cost went from $18 million to $33 million on set just for them to have it come out on top and go down in history, despite what people said when it came out. It's Empire Strikes Back time.
This movie not only created a cultural impact, this movie was a cultural reset. Ask anyone from our generation today, and Shrek 2 will change your life. I'm an avid McDonald's toy collector. These toys from Shrek 2 have served me throughout my life, and they are toys that, first of all, they were the first kind of like talking toys at the time. Like, you pressed a button and shook it. Oh, no, you shook it. That was it. You shook it. It had several catchphrases. I have used that my whole life to answer the phone to telemarketer people. I have a Puss in Boots toy. I'll shake it, and it'll be like, prepare for your death on telemarketer.
Wow.
I have shut down many a telemarketer with Puss in Boots and another one, but donkey. That was it. The other one. I have a little donkey. Okay, that's my argument about how important Shrek 2 is.
Because the
my
McDonald's
everyday life.
I mean, like, you say cultural reset, Grace?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about setting a culture to define decades and generations? Star Wars is still well known with a massive, insane fan base today. It is riddled across pop culture. And imagine when this first came out. When it first came out, no one had any idea what to expect from the original Star Wars, and it is just dramatic.
No one had any idea what to expect from Shrek. They pitched a Scottish ogre by Mike Myers, who had no career.
They take the original Star Wars film that no one was quite sure what to do with at the time, and then everyone fell in love with it. And now you can't wait to see the next one. They exceeded everything that they had done in episode 4. They built on all the characters. They made darker, more really intense timelines and storylines going on. And then how about the thing that's never talked about? One of the most insane plot twists in the history, just because it's so normal to us, coming out as Darth Vader, being Luke's father, for the time seeing it live in theater, is got to be absolutely, completely mind-bending for that.
What I want to say is, since we're talking about best sequels, I want to think about the difference between what's a great sequel and what's a great movie that happens to be a sequel. And Cobra Kai is a great sequel because never have I before seen something, a movie or a TV show that so effectively uses its legacy and its history to like reinforce its own themes. The whole message of the show is that it's important to learn from the past, but not to dwell on it. We see two characters, Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, with a role reversal, but like not in a really simplistic way. It's not like one's the villain now. It's not just that. It's Daniel's son from the original trilogy. Because there was that original trilogy, he sees himself as the hero. So he went through his development already. He feels like he doesn't need to reevaluate himself at all. Meanwhile, Johnny, the villain from the original, is now actively, because that was
time, but I haven't made up my mind yet. Another minute and 30. Go.
So because that's his legacy, he's now making an active effort to make himself a better person, in direct contrast to Daniel. They're realizing that you can't just do things the way we used to in the 80s. And it brings in a lot of modern relevant themes about like youth violence, radicalization, and it does it all in the same way, lots of karate and fun stuff, but it's really relevant, and it uses the fact that it's a sequel to reinforce all that.
I would argue that Shrek 2 has an important message, and that is you can be loved and accepted and celebrated for who you are, and you don't need to fit into the box of another person. For example, your partner, it works in that specific like niche of a relationship between Shrek and Fiona and meeting the family. And in the end, it doesn't matter because everyone has their weird differences. The king is actually a frog. And it begs the question, do you be yourself or do you try to be someone else for your partner? So,
I mean, I would
argue that The Empire Strikes Back doesn't have any kind of message like that. So,
well, I would disagree.
I would disagree with that too.
Darth Vader literally goes to Luke and says, "I'm your father. Join me. Join your actual family." And Luke has to make the active decision to go against it. And he's now got to go through a whole thing where he knows there's a whole new layer added to this. He thinks Darth Vader is just the ultimate bad guy in the universe. No,
but he doesn't do it for love. Does he do it for love? No. What
does he pseudo like adopt a child to teach him in the ways that he failed to in his own youth?
Grogu, maybe.
I would argue that that's
not
kind
Empire.
I don't know. Is that okay to project all of that onto a child and try?
But that's the message, though. He makes mistakes and he learns from them, and he learns from them by learning from what we've already seen in the 80s and adapting it to a modern age and not dwelling on the past. It's a sequel, and it takes that legacy into account. And Star Wars, by the time of Empire Strikes Back, there wasn't as much of a legacy because it was only like 3 years.
But I think it helped to build the legacy, though. I think it was one of the big things because you have the first one come out, and now you've got to build on that and create your own legacy.
The legacy of
Episode
Trek
5 is
Trek
like
2.
the
There would
thing
be
that
no legacy
really-
without Trek 2.
Time. Wow, guys, I had such a hard time. I just gave you another 3 minutes. It was neck and neck for all of you. Like I'm telling you right now. When I thought at 1 minute I thought I was going with Jeremy for sure. Next I was fully on Grace's train. Next I was fully with Dylan, and it just kept. It was like a tennis match. So
it was the McDonald's toys argument, wasn't it?
No, there was actually There was one argument that I needed to hear that was hit again that finally won me over.
You're gonna reveal.
Yeah, don't pull the bias card on me. It was the argument fully. Building a legacy hit that hard, and just the expansion of what that's become. So the number one pick does have to be Empire Strikes Back. So let's list off our top 6 best sequels of all time. Number 6, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Number 5, Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors. Number 4, Mamma Mia: Here We Go Again.
And again and again.
Number 3, How to Train. No, we swapped it.
Yeah.
Number 3,
I
The
went either way.
Bride of Frankenstein. Number 2, The Dark Knight. And number 1, The Empire Strikes Back. Our winner for today, our first time winner, Mr.
No way, did I win it?
Fraser. Wow, nicely done.
It's been a long time coming, months.
So guys, I want to thank you both for joining us. I had an absolute blast. And you guys, if you'd like to come back, you're welcome back to the show anytime.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Evil Dead 2, takes the spot, but
Jeremy, do you have anything to plug?
Sure. I was not very active on it. I don't really have a consistent schedule yet, but I do have a gaming YouTube channel / Twitch stream that Asa joins sometimes. You all know Asa. It's Pamplemousse Games, which is the French word for grapefruit. Again, I don't have a schedule or anything, but I do post things on there sometimes. It's both on Twitch and on YouTube.
Great. And Grace, do you have anything that you'd like to plug?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to plug myself. My name is Grace Graham. I'm an actor, mover, writer, director, theater maker. My website is gracejgraham.com. Please hire me.
All right, guys, that was awesome. We just found out what the indisputable top 6 list of best sequels of all time was. If you have any picks that didn't make the list, if anything got snubbed, please let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear what your list is. Unfortunately, it won't be official because this is the undisputed list of all time, but I'd still love to hear what you have to say. Leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, please, if you liked what you saw. It really helps us out quite a bit. This has been Top Shelf Takes, and we'll see you next time.